Welcome to F.O.D. Overdrive, the podcast that keeps you up on your Friday nights. We're a three-man team that also has a weekly conservative terrestrial program from 3 to 5 p.m. on 94.9 News Now, WJJF out of Connecticut, Long Island, and Rhode Island, called Freedom on Deck. To live stream the station and listen to our program, go to freedomondeck.com. You might be there right now, and click Listen Live or listen to all of our back shows of Freedom on Deck and FOD Overdrive. On the site, you can get daily updated news, contributions from Chet Martin, that's me, Lee Elsey from The Lee Elsey Show, Julio Rivera from The Reactionary Times, and Alex Newman from The New American. I'm Chet Martin, joined by Brian Bro. Brian, say hello to the wonderful people listening.
Hello to everybody out there in podcast land.
And C.V. Burton, say what up.
I'm in the zone, sir.
Okay, good. It's been a long week. In the middle of the week, which we like to call Hump Day, was probably the craziest news day of the week, right? 2 days later, we're here to tell you all about what's going on. So, Robert Mueller has put the special counsel to bed and officially ended the corrupted Russian-Trump collusion investigation on Wednesday with a press conference where he took no questions from the media. He made underhanded comments like, if we could have exonerated the president, we would have, but we couldn't. You cannot question the integrity of this investigation. And because we found no crime committed, that doesn't mean there weren't any. Now, I'm paraphrasing, but that's basically what he said, and it was pretty clear that Bob Mueller held that press conference only to exonerate himself, guys. That's my belief from having to testify in front of Congress. Not that he's worried about the Democrats, he's worried about the Republicans. Now, it's also, he did this on Wednesday to leave a cloud hanging over the Trump presidency. That's pretty clear. And before I come to you, Brian, prosecutors cannot exonerate someone of charges. They can recommend charges. They can recommend an exoneration. So his statement that if we could have exonerated the president, we would have, that wasn't his job. Now, could he have exonerated President Trump in a way to go to Congress and put in a recommendation? Yes. Due process isn't based on partisanship. The liberals think it is. However, James Comey was okay with exonerating Hillary Clinton. Wasn't his job either, Brian. But this whole statement on Wednesday was another diversion, another tactic to take Trump down.
Well, I mean, look, I don't understand how he even is talking about exoneration, because exoneration is like, you know, there was evidence of a crime being committed. You know, my shoe size was the same size as the shoe print found outside the window of the house that got robbed. You know, there was a glove that fit the same size as my hand, but ultimately they found DNA evidence and it didn't match me. That would be like, I'm exonerated. Like, you know, like, the proof showed that, you know, the evidence didn't match the person, the perpetrator. That's an exoneration. If no crime has been committed, what the hell needs to be fucking exonerated?
Well, that's the big question here, CV. There was no crime. They went from collusion to, obstruction of justice, and now a cover-up. And the liberals are really creative with the terminology that they use, because and I will give them the credit on this, they know how to do it better than anybody else. But CV, was he deliberately trying to get his ass out of the hot seat because Bill Barr's coming with no gloves?
Yep, and he certainly didn't want to testify in front of Congress either, because then they would ask him all kinds of questions that he would be uncomfortable to answer. And, you know, a 450-page report on nothing, because a prosecutor's job is not to exonerate. It's to either say there's evidence of a crime or there isn't. So there should have been 2 sentences in that whole report. But he gets up there, he saunters up there like a 90-year-old man. He sounded like a 90-year-old man. I thought he was going to pass out like Nadler did. And he's duplicitous. He's talking out both sides of his mouth. You know? And it was a fiasco.
Yeah, he looked low energy, and I'll tell you, I posted on Freedom on Deck's Facebook Live that day on Wednesday, and I posted from Now This, which is a complete left-wing hack job news source, right? And I actually went in the chat room to see what people were saying, and liberals, they are just so unhinged. This one woman said, "I'm sitting here crying. This man is a hero and should have been president." And
Mueller! Mueller!
It's unbelievable the level of contempt that this man had for President Trump, and in any way, shape, or form could have taken him down. So it was a complete whitewash. He washed his hands of the whole thing. He said, "I'm going to live in the private sector. I'm done. Goodbye. And by the way, it's up to Congress whether or not they want to start with articles of impeachment." He put that in there purposefully.
Basically, what he was trying to do was hand the torch over to Congress to impeach him. He was saying, "Look, I didn't say he's not guilty, so I'm going to leave it up to you." And then the other thing he was trying to do was again insinuate that Russia altered the whole election, that the only reason Donald Trump is president is because of Russia, which is a total. And he says, you know, they haven't been on trial, so they're not convicted either. This handful of people that put out Facebook ads, and then and then saying that that Russia hacked the election. When they didn't even look at the DNC server to see if Russia hacked them. In actuality, it was China who had every copy of every email from Hillary from her server. And I'm sure they shared it with Russia because Russia has their own Five Eyes, you know.
That's true. Brian, it was the DNC that was hacked because Barack Obama didn't take any of these warnings seriously, or he let it happen because he thought it would behoove the Democrats.
Yeah, but, you know, you got to look at it this way. They can sit there and they can start impeachment proceedings. They can do whatever the heck they want. The bottom line is that they have to have evidence, which Bob Mueller had no evidence in his report. Otherwise, there would have been charges brought. They have no evidence. A crime has to be committed. This is not Bill Clinton getting blowjobs in the White House, which is illegal to do. And, you can't be, using your political office for, sex favors by your interns.
Brian, don't be so mean, man. If those were some lonely, cold days. You know, Hillary didn't give me none.
Yeah, that's true. I'd probably want to stick mine in a blender if that was my option. But I mean, look, they don't have anything. So if they know this, I'll tell you this, they know this. It will be political suicide for them to impeach him or to attempt to impeach him because there's no evidence of any crimes. They have nothing, and if they do push some narrow margin of a might have, coulda, woulda, maybe happened, but we're not sure, that's going to blow up in their face.
Did you guys get to see Nancy's comments on Wednesday right after Mueller had his presser?
No.
Did you guys see that?
No, I didn't see Nancy.
Well, she came up, and after the presser, she said, "Doctored videos show Facebook willingly let enablers of Russia in 2016 to interfere with the election." And she said that because right now there are doctored videos of her speaking as a drunkard, and they haven't been taken down. So she actually came out, and now she says because of that, the people at Facebook are working with Trump and the Russians.
Yeah. You know what's funny about that is the reason that she's all pissed off about it is because of how believable it could be. I mean, let's face it, there are other videos of Nancy Pelosi half in the bag talking.
Oh yeah. And she was probably in the bag in that video, but they just slowed it down to make it even worse. She still doesn't make about as much sense as of a can of beans. I mean, she's insane.
Did you see the video? That video's great.
Yeah, it's still up.
She's just like, this is
Yeah, I posted it. And Politicheck or PolitiFact or whatever the hell it's called sent me a message saying, just so you know, this is doctored and it's not real. Like, fuck
good.
Fuck you guys. Like, give me a break. It's ridiculous. But CV, now that this has all been proved as water under the bridge, what should Trump's response be? I mean, his response initially was, it's over, let it go. And the Republican response was, too. Ted Cruz said, you need to get over it. It's like the Democrats can't get over the girl that they lost at the prom. Do you think that,
as far
what do you think how should he take this on?
Well, he should go after them tooth and nail to expose their corruption. Let's look into Nadler's twisted past. Why don't we uncover a lot of their misdeeds and misfeasance? But the Democrats want it both ways. They want to drag on this investigation. It's not over. As far as they're concerned, it's never going to be over. They want to drag this on throughout the whole entire election season. They stole the 2018 elections with this Mueller investigation, They stole it because they poisoned the atmosphere by accusing Donald Trump of a crime he never committed. All right? And so they don't want to impeach him literally or technically because that would be bad for them. But they want to drag out their own investigation as if Mueller, as if the $40 million spent on the Mueller investigation and the 2,600 subpoenas and the 500 witnesses weren't enough. They're just going to drag it on because it worked in 2018, so they think it's going to work in 2020. They're going to poison the atmosphere. They're going to besmirch Trump's reputation. And meanwhile, I think Trump should go after them with everything he's got because he declassified all the documents. Barr can have his pick of anything he wants to find out, and they should go after them hard.
But Comey's in big trouble. Comey's going to end up in handcuffs. He's in big trouble.
You think Comey's going to get it?
Oh, yeah, he's going to get it. He's
Comey.
He's backpedaling because he knows that he is one of the center key figures in this whole corrupted mess of having Trump spied on. And he lied so many times in front of Congress and in front of some really important people, and he's going to get it. I'm telling you, it's coming out. And the Intelligence Committee's report is coming out, too, and that's going to be a big one to look at. I'm telling you, James Comey's going to be bending over, and he's going to need a good jar of Vaseline. That's what's going to happen. And you know what? I think Trump's going to raw dog him. And I don't think any Vaseline's going to be used. And it's what I meant to say was the Inspector General's report. People need to look out for this report and read it front to back. It's going to give you all the information. This guy's fucked.
And I hate to say it. I can't
wait.
I hate to say it, though. Donald Trump has, his security detail 24/7, and so does his entire family, but we don't. The people who voted for Donald Trump are going to be victimized. The CNN and the proper media, as I now call them, are going to gin up in such hatred. I saw a recent video on YouTube asking the question, is it okay to punch a Nazi? As far as everybody's concerned, we're Nazis. So it's okay. Right. It's okay to victimize us and to commit violence against us. And it's going to go on and on and on and on. It's just, This is going in a bad direction. That's all I'm saying.
Well, they're going to push so far into the point where what they consider the Nazis and the fascists are going to turn into the fascists. Push us hard enough. Keep doing it. Yeah. Keep it up. Keep it up. There's going to be heads rolling.
They better come armed if they're coming for the neck, man. I don't leave a house without a weapon.
Yeah, they better come armed. You motherfuckers.
I don't even need a weapon because I'm a freaking crazy motherfucker. Don't even come near me, man.
He's gonna give you some kung fu.
I'll rip your eyeballs out.
I'll pump my 590 in your chest. I do want a weapon because it's funner that way. All right. Listen. Here's a little word from our sponsors. Folks, are you getting frustrated with the trusted conservative sites and magazines turning left? Do you really want to read Bill Kristol in the National Review? Is the Weekly Standard supporting our president enough? I don't think so. Instead, go to thenewamerican.com and get your subscription to the New American magazine. You know, it's an awesome place to get your news. It's pro-Trump. For both the magazine and online subscriptions, you can read pro-Trump, truly conservative contributors from our good friend to the show, Alex Newman, Bill Hahn, and so many others. Go to thenewamerican.com and sign up. Become part of the solution, not part of the problem. All right, guys, so I was listening to Hugh Hewitt the other day.
Oh, boy.
Hugh Hewitt, as Mike Gallagher always, my good friend Hugh Hewitt. Total Trump retard, anti-Trump retard, right?
Yeah.
So, he did the job that the Democrat media should, and he found out that Joe Biden, creepy Joe Biden, handsy Joe Biden, pedo Joe, had the same number of deferments for getting out of the military as Dick Cheney did. This is important stuff. So, Pete Buttplug, Mayor Buttplug, he was doing one of these town halls, right, Brian? They do them all over Fox News. Crazy how many Democrat town halls Fox News does now. Kind of interesting. But he was talking about Trump and Trump's deferment because of bone spurs, okay? And that Trump got out of going into Vietnam. Now, he didn't mention Joe Biden, but Joe Biden's deferments, I was looking through them today, and actually there's a write-up, this wasn't the first time they were brought up, in 2008 in Newsday, which is a local publication on Long Island, that Joe Biden's deferments for not going into Nam were because of childhood asthma. So it matches Cheney's 5. Trump only has the 1. Clinton, we know, went to Canada to avoid being drafted. We know about that. And Mayor Pete Buttplug is concerned about Trump, but he's not concerned about Biden getting 5 deferments. Now, this is a double standard that needs to be tackled. And if they try to bring this on Trump's doorstep, he needs to fire back, doesn't he?
Oh, he's got to fire back. But, I mean, in Bill Clinton's
defense, I also heard that the Canadian girls were easy as well. But, you know, he's got to fire back. And, I mean, if he doesn't, he's a fool, right? I mean, if he doesn't, he's a fool. So, I mean, look, we all know that Joe Biden, I think, isn't going to go very far because once they start getting into these debates, forget about just the Democrats. I mean, you have so many candidates vying for that top spot, and in order to gain any ground, they're going to have to, you know, shut Joe Biden down.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, I don't see how they have any, any other choice but to go after him. So he's going to have to defend on that level. Then, if he does happen to make it past all of the, all the clowns in the car, so to speak, then Donald Trump is going to take him to task, man.
He's going to take him back in the woodshed and give him a once-over. Remember Biden said that's CV. Remember Biden said he would, if they were in high school, he would take them behind. What did he say? Take them behind the woodshed?
I don't know.
The bleachers. The bleachers.
What are
the
we?
Bleachers.
What are we in 4th grade? Jesus. But Brian made me think of something. Butt plug is pretty clever in a way because while he's taking a swipe at Donald Trump, he's actually hitting Biden too.
Take him one at Biden. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
But, Donald Trump has, by the time the election comes around, 4 years experience being the commander-in-chief of the entire U.S. military. All right? Top that. Nobody can top that as far as military experience. Nobody. End of story.
No,
because none of them have a background. I don't think. And show me one of them that served this country.
Yeah.
Nobody. No one.
Yeah.
No one. I mean, I guess they consider serving the Communist Party USA a service to this country.
He wiped out the Islamic Caliphate. And Obama couldn't do that. What did he have, a magic wand for that too, Obama?
And I don't know too
Obama
many.
didn't want to do that.
Exactly.
Exactly. I don't know too many
Christians.
I don't know too many military members that do not support our president.
Exactly.
No, it's very rare.
There may be some, but they're few and far between. And I'll tell you right now, with the way the economy is going, they have a very tough fight to try to delegitimize Donald Trump's successes in the first 4 years of his presidency.
Well, you guys know I went out with the American Legion on Sunday and Monday, and we did the 21-gun salutes throughout the East End, and it was honored to go to my grandfather's site and my uncle's site and have my father's flag with me and so many other that have served that were there, and, their relatives were in the same sites that my relatives were in. But I'll tell you one thing, man. Those jarheads were something to watch, and they all supported President Trump. All of them. All of them.
Of course.
They loved the show, and they were talking about, the communists on the left side of the aisle. They're like, we don't call them Democrats. We call them communists. Let's call it what it is. and that is what it is. And, you're so right. You're hitting the nail on the head, Brian. When they tell us, he had bone spurs and he deferred, we don't care, because guess what? The bottom line is the man is sticking up for this country and our veterans like no one has ever done before.
Yeah.
So get out of our way.
If they think they're trying to hurt his support among veterans, they're fighting a losing battle, because he's the one who signed legislation to allow vets to seek other medical help if the line is too long with the VA. And he also signed into an executive order that it's okay to fire VA employees if they screw up, and other things. They know Trump has their back.
The Democrats just passed a bill in the House. I can't remember which bill, but they actually took $21 million of appropriations for veterans and funneled it towards other causes.
Oh boy!
Huh.
You know what I mean?
What about what they did in New York, where they took the Gold Star family tuition of the Gold Star kids and gave it to the illegals?
Yeah.
Huh. You're telling me that...
You know why the VA are so horrible to the veterans is because under Democrat rule, they've been putting their buddies in there, nepotism and cronies into the VA who hate the military. They hate them.
Absolutely.
They want to help them die. They don't want to help them get better.
Yeah, it was like when we were talking to a good friend of ours, Stan Hemiski, out in Connecticut. He says if you're 5 minutes late, they shut the door on you.
Yep.
Even if they're open, even if they're currently open, they shut the door on you. And half the problem is in some of these states, including Connecticut and Rhode Island and New York, some of these VA, I don't know if you want to call them hospitals, but facilities, medical centers, they're so far and few between that some of these veterans have to take buses to get there. Are you kidding me?
Horrible.
Unreal.
People that put their lives on the line, and when they get there 5 minutes late, they're told, you got to come back. And then the other, it was just a couple weeks ago, and I believe this happened in Colorado, they told one guy he had to come back. He said, I need help right now. I'm going through it. He went out in the parking lot and he blew his brains out.
Oh, my God.
Tell me that's justice.
Yeah.
The VA's still corrupt as fuck. So, I agree with you, CV. The president is at least making a splash and a ripple in the pond, but we got to totally go up and down on the VA. The VA needs to be completely stripped down.
Yep.
And redone.
It definitely something's going to happen. I mean, look, I think one of the things that Donald Trump needs to do next is just that. I mean, he's got the military funding for our military. That passed. I think his very next act, and I'll tell you, if he gets it done in the next year and year and a few months before the election, I mean, I just don't see how the Democrats have any chance at all.
6,000. Go ahead, CV.
No. Go ahead. No, finish what you're saying.
I was just going to say over 6,000 suicides every year of veterans.
I was going to say another great thing that Donald Trump does for the military is that he trusts them when it comes to planning and executing battle plans.
Thank you.
Under Obama, he was micromanaging them. So when there was a caravan of ISIS, and they spotted them, they had to call him up personally and ask him, is it okay if we bomb them? And
I got to drop pamphlets first.
Yeah, at half the time he wasn't even there to answer the phone. By the time they reached him, it was too late. And Trump, on the other hand, has a completely opposite point of view. He's like, you generals know what to do. Just do it. We want it. The objective is to kill ISIS, to stop the caliphate, to send them scurrying back into their little holes. And that's the objective. Just do it. And he didn't question them at all. And that's what happened. And they knew what they were doing. They know how to fight. And they kicked their asses.
And he's rolled back, Brian, the rules of engagement. That's another great thing that he's done. Yep. A lot of people don't talk about these great things that he's done. And now that he wants to pardon Eddie Gallagher and a certain number of other great Americans that have been blackballed by the Obama administration and the Bush administration, and he gets criticized for that. The guy is pro-American, pro-military.
It's something that he is going to have to be addressed. But look, I mean, the rules of engagement in this country. I mean, I'm sorry. I'm for these guys being able to do what they have to do, and the means to do it. I understand that there is the Geneva Convention, but I mean, these guys that they're dealing with these freaking terrorists. And these terrorists, they're trying to get information out of them, and the terrorist goes for their gun or attacks them. Boom. Bye, bitch.
I'm sorry. I don't give a shit when a terrorist is killed under any circumstances. It does not matter to me. We're talking about the Geneva Convention. That's a different discussion. And
that's military, and that's uniform military that has to pertain to.
Right. And when we talk about that, damn well that's been abused. I mean, they turned that into something it was never intended to be turned into. So, all right, another word from the sponsor. Our new sponsors are a motorsports team. Midget Motorsports is a family-owned and operated NASCAR modified team based out of East Hampton, New York. You'll see them full-time at Riverhead Raceway if you're out here on Long Island. Also part-time schedule at the NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour. Driver number 4, Corey, entered full-body cars in the Charger division at Riverhead in 2012, and he won Rookie of the Year, and he won a total of 4 races in 4 years. That's a lot of races. It's their 4th year in the modified division. The family, Brian Sr., Michael, Brian Jr., and Corey, rely on outside donations. If you're interested in helping this pro-Trump supporting race team, contact Brian Sr. at the number 516-236-8498, or you can go check out their information on freedomondeck.com. That's our site, freedomondeck.com. If you click on Corey's race car, it'll bring you there. All profits go to Corey's ability to continue racing. You'll see the Freedom on Deck logo on the car this season in Connecticut, Long Island, and everywhere else that they're going to be racing at, along with their Trump sticker and flag. So make sure you go and you support Corey. He's a hell of a guy. He's a great conservative. I know him very well, and the family is close to us. And actually, Brian's brother. Brian, your brother is part of Riverhead Raceway. What does he do over there exactly?
He is part of one of the race teams.
Okay.
Yep, he's part of one of the race teams over there.
Okay, good. Is he upset that we're being sponsored by another race team?
I don't know, but maybe his team should be sponsoring us too.
Yeah, right. Right. That could have been the thing. So we're going to be talking about Joe Biden a little more, okay? So the hopeful Biden is facing criticism on social media after he touched the shoulders of a young 10-year-old girl and told her she was good looking. This was a stump speech that he made, and it's crazy reading this story. A 10-year-old little girl was talking to Joe Biden, and he asked her what she wanted to be, Brian, right? So she said she wanted to be a journalist. She's a little Hispanic girl, and I guess they got into the discussion about immigration. And he said, "Oh, sweetie, you're as smart as you are good looking." And then he brought her into the back of the room with some of the journalists and photogs, and he had his hands all over her, on her shoulders, and he was putting his head in on his nose in on her head. Who the hell is running his campaign? My God. Like, how does this happen after he put out a public apology for the way he behaves, Brian? I think this guy has a problem, and something is wrong here with this guy.
Look, I mean, if you are what you are, man. The guy's a pedophile. What is there to know? What do people need to know other than that this guy is he's a fucking predator, man. He is a predator. He likes little kids. Stop sugarcoating it. You know, it is. He oversteps bounds. He's too touchy-feely. I mean, hell, he came out and announced that he was, that he was running for president. He does that big campaign rally that he did, his first big campaign rally. His wife announces him or introduces him
to the audience.
And he comes up and he gives her a hug on stage, and he puts his hands on her side of her breasts, and she has to take his hands and put them down off of her breasts.
His own wife?
He's a pervert. His own wife doesn't even want him to be touching her.
She probably doesn't let him. CV, I meant to say that this encounter took place during a town hall meeting with teachers. And it was just so everybody knows, it was in Houston on Tuesday night. CV, this guy, Brian says he is what he is, that he can't help himself, that even though he's been called out, he can't help but touch people. Don't you think that the other Democrats in the presidential race are going to use this against him?
Yeah, we can't learn him nothing. I mean, this guy has Tourette's of the hands. He can't even control his own body, much less his mind. He's like the male version of Hillary. He's just out of his cotton picking mind. It's going to be hilarious. He's a gaffe machine, and they put him under lock and key over the last couple of weeks. I mean, he hasn't even been out except for that Tuesday. Before that, I mean, he wasn't let out for like a week or two, and like, okay, we'll let you out, and immediately he's attacking children.
Yeah, and did you see Trump was in Japan, President Trump, getting more deals done, you know how he does. You know, winning like we've never won before. Yep. And he said, Kim said that he's not very bright, and I agree, paraphrasing here. And Biden's camp releases a statement saying, when you're on foreign soil and you're ripping down a former vice president that's beneath the presidency of the United States of America. Are you kidding me? Hold on, Brian. Was it not Obama that went into Germany and spoke in front of foreigners and talked about how horrible Donald Trump was? Who are they trying to kid?
I don't know who they're kidding.
Well,
I have no idea who they're kidding there.
They're fooling themselves and they don't believe it. They're kidding themselves. I'm not going to sing.
The point is, what I'm trying to make is the Democrats always point out their flaws on the other side. They're known to do it. They do it just like Goebbels did in Nazi Germany, CV.
This brings up a theory. This caused me to have a theory. How Kim Jong-un said these things about Biden to make it sound like he loves Trump. And it reminded me of when Putin was saying nice things about Trump. But meanwhile, he was trying to help Hillary win. You know what I mean? It's a maneuver. It's our enemies saying that they like Trump so that the Democrats can use it against Trump. So they're not, Kim Jong-un is not doing Trump any favors, and neither was Putin when he was lavishing him with praise.
Well, no, of course. I mean, when we're talking about whether you could have, President Trump, who's a nationalist, or whether you could have Hillary or Biden, who are basically globalists.
Yes.
They're globalists. Of course they want them in charge.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? It's
Absolutely.
easy.
Yeah. I mean, Kim Jong-un would much rather have Biden as president than Trump.
Of course he would. He'd get more uranium that way.
Get more everything that way.
All right.
Well, I think that they look at the Democrat Party as the weaker party, to be honest.
Right.
I mean, that's my opinion. You know what I mean? Look, Kim Jong-un's probably looking back and going, hey, man, I would have rather have negotiated with Barack Obama than this Trump guy.
Yeah.
There's no way that Russia interfered in order to help Trump. It's exactly what I was talking about before.
Hoodwinking on us.
Yeah, they're saying, oh, it was this way, when you know damn well that the Russians were involved to try to get the Democrats in power. They just got 24% of our uranium from Hillary Clinton. You think they wanted Trump in? Come on.
Russia and...
Let's be serious here.
Russia and China and North Korea and all our enemies are very small-minded. They really think that being our enemies is going to help them. But if they negotiated with Trump fair deals, everybody would win. Their countries would prosper better. Our country would prosper better. Everybody. There is enough for everybody. Stop this competition mentality and get with the creative mentality, because that's where all the abundance really lies.
And I'll say this, I'm not going to put Russia on the same plane as North Korea and China, because at least Russia is starting to stick up for the Christians.
Yeah.
And they've done a fair job at it. They're not our friends, though. We need to understand that these countries want us. They want us to lose. I mean, that's what it's all about for them.
But Russia could be our friend, and they could fare so much better if they would just be friendly to us and.
Hold on. They are friendlier to us now that we don't have Barry calling them, or Hillary rather, calling them Hitler, calling Putin Hitler.
True.
And they're not buzzing our aircraft carriers with Russian MiGs.
Because they respect us, they fear us more now. That's why.
At the same time, people say, yeah, but they got 24% of our uranium. Yeah, because the Democrats are weak. We gave them 24% of our uranium, and they still fucked with us. Mm-hmm. You can't. It's like the bully in middle school. You give the bully $1, you think the next day the bully's going to come and say, I like you now.
I wonder if it was a little bit more nefarious than that. I wonder if it was a little more of a blackmail deal, because why would we as America, why would we give the Russians 24% of our uranium? You know what I mean? I wonder if they had her email the whole time.
Good
right
point.
along.
Good point.
It's a good point. You know, the Clinton Foundation did end up with hundreds of millions of dollars after that happened, so they definitely got money because of it. And but you might have a point. It's probably, hey, we're gonna release some things that aren't flattering towards you. We know that the Democrats were infiltrated by those Pakistani brothers, the Awan brothers. If you remember what happened with them. And what did we do? We found out about it. The FBI looked at it, and they were sent back to Pakistan. They weren't extradited. They were just basically let go instead of being prosecuted. Then we found out Dianne Feinstein had some Chinese spy driving around for 20 years.
Yeah.
The Democrat Party has been infiltrated by communists throughout the world, including China, including Russia, including North Korea, and they are beholden to these countries because these countries fund groups like Antifa and the George Soros Society. And if you don't think they are, you are blinder than a mole.
You raised a really good point
about
the Chinese spy. Just real quick, I want to say that the FBI, when they found out there was a Chinese spy in Dianne Feinstein's office, they notified her and tipped her off to it and investigated the spy. But in Trump's case,
in Trump's case, they took immediate action, right?
What?
I said she took immediate action, right?
Yeah, but in the case of Trump, they did not tell him that they suspected Russian infiltration. Instead, they spied on the Trump team, not the Russians.
Well, think about this. Let's forget the Chinese spy with Dianne Finkelstein or Dianne No Brain or Mumra. I am more concerned about the Awan brothers. The Awan brothers, Pakistanis.
Uh-huh.
They were working for Hillary's little schlub there. The one that was married to Wiener. Somebody help me out here.
Uma Abedin.
Uma Abedin. They were working in the front office of the Clinton Foundation and the Clinton campaign. Now, what they were doing was they were shipping our information over.
No. I think they were working for the DNC under Wasserman Schultz.
That's right. I'm sorry, Wasserman Schultz. No, but they were also working with Uma Abedin.
All right.
There's connections, and I can show you them.
All right.
But you're right. They did start out working for Wasserman Schultz. They eventually were working with Uma Abedin. Now, regardless of all that shit, they were taking our information and sending it over to the Muslim Brotherhood. We have evidence of it. Once the FBI came up with the evidence and they knew that they were working in multiple offices of the DNC, they were shipped out of the country. They were sent back. Not a word said. Kind of reminds me of bin Laden. You know, there is so much going on behind the surface in this country. It's shocking. It's shocking. And what happens is we talk about it for a week and it goes away. When's the last time you guys have heard about the Awan brothers?
No, I heard they left the country with a lot of money.
Left the country? They left the country years ago with tons of money, and they should have been prosecuted as a terrorist financer in the United States of America that worked with the DNC and with the Hillary campaign.
Yeah.
But instead, they were let go.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they worked for the DNC. Yeah. I mean, come on. Look at all the stuff. I mean, you had stuff with Donna Brazile. You had stuff with Sheila Jackson Lee. What was that? What happened with her campaign staffer? I forget. I'm drawing a blank right now.
Jackson Lee?
Yeah, remember her campaign, or the guy that worked for her campaign? Was it sexual assault or something? I mean, it was something.
Yes. It was sexual assault on one of her campaign staffers.
Yeah.
Yep. And and it's like, it blows your mind that this is the type of people that they have dealings with. You know, and I'm not saying that the Republican Party doesn't have their fair share of
like this
of things like that, but nothing like that.
Brian, nothing like this. And when we're talking about our top secret information, the Wan brothers had access to Anthony Weiner's laptop. You remember that? Because when they were in Uma Abedin's office or in the DNC office, they were getting this access and they were sending it to terrorist organizations. Our top secret information. Now,
and don't forget.
Now listen. Listen, hold on. When you're talking about Sheila Jackson Lee, that is horrible that she had somebody in her campaign that raped somebody and was working there. But when you have people in your offices sending sensitive material to terrorist organizations and you send them back, they should have been hung high and dry.
Well, what I was going to say is that, remember, the NYPD had threatened to release some of the information that they had because remember, they had that laptop first, and they were going to prosecute under New York State and under the city. And remember, the FBI swooped in, grabbed that laptop, and all of a sudden it got swept under the rug. And from what I hear, the FBI threatened to bring a case against the NYPD for the Eric Gardner thing.
Okay.
And then it just all went away.
Yeah. So
I wonder what was on that laptop that the NYPD knew of. What did they know?
I heard stories that I cannot prove or disprove, but I heard there was a horrible tape in there, a videotape of Hillary and Uma doing horrible things, and when the police saw it, they cried. Hardened police cried when they saw it. And I'm not going to go into detail because I don't have enough proof, and I know what our detractors would say if I went into it.
I can imagine what Hillary was doing. You know, and there is a reason those videos did not come out, or any of the information. Oh, but you're just right-wingers. You're Pizzagate theorists.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, let's go to the last break, and then we got one last topic, and we'll get it out real quick, because it's kind of an easy one. All right, the John Birch Society helped America elect President Reagan in 1980 and President Trump in 2016. They've rallied the conservative base for over 50 years. Go to jbs.org and join up and receive a good conservative group behind you. JBS has affiliates like the New American, American Opinion Foundation, Freedom Project Media, and Freedom Project Academy. Print membership is only $87. Digital membership is a low $47. $47. I mean, that's coffee for like 2 weeks. You can do that. Go join the John Birch Society. We're all members. Listen, I want to talk about this. So a private group chaired by Steve Bannon has started to build its own border wall after receiving millions from GoFundMe. Now, it's a private group, and it's on GoFundMe, and they announced on Monday that it had constructed a small portion of border wall on private land, which is about a mile, I believe. The announcement comes after a federal judge last week blocked Trump and his administration from using military designated funds secured from his national emergency declaration to build sections of the border wall. Former White House chief strategist Steve Bannon and Kansas former Secretary of State Chris Kobach are involved with these groups' efforts. Now, the group so far raised more than $22 million on GoFundMe, and they announced that they would be putting this up on the U.S.-Mexico border. We Build the Wall's GoFundMe campaign to privately pay for the wall emerged in the days leading up to the last year's 35-day partial government shutdown. Okay, I'm going to come to you first, CV. This is kind of a good precedent because right now this wall is actually being constructed in a mile-long area of the southern border. This shows you that you can construct the border wall without Congress.
Mm-hmm.
If you get enough groups out there and enough like-minded individuals, pro-nationalists like Steve Bannon and others to come together and do something like this, we could get this wall put up without Congress.
Right, and I like how we didn't know about this until it was actually almost 100% up. I think it's like up 100%, and the reason they kept it under wraps is because all the socialists and the mayor of that town would put an injunction on them and stop them from building it, and all this riffraff would have happened, and they would have tried to prevent it from happening. But I like how they did it in secrecy, and they're selling it back to the government for $1, and it cost them like $8 million. They raised $8 million to erect this wall, and I think it's great. And it also shows that you could build a long stretch of wall in just a couple of days.
It is amazing, Brian. Like CV said, $8 million that they raised, they sold it back to the government for $1 million. And these are true patriots. These are people that want to help because they see that the globalist agenda is pushing back against Trump, so they're helping Trump push back. It's a great thing, isn't it?
Absolutely. I think what it speaks to is the resolve of the American people to get done what they believe in. I could tell you this. A majority of Americans want border security. A majority of Americans want immigration reform. And that is going to be something that puts Donald Trump over the finish line for a second term, because the American people are sick of this crap, man. We're sick of it. You don't have to piss on us and tell us it's raining. You know what I mean? And I think that people are at the point where they're like, look, we do have an immigration problem. And stop telling us that we don't, and stop telling us that it's not doable. It is doable, and just get it done. You know what I mean? That's what the American people want to see.
Yeah, I think this is like a grassroots movement, CV, that is going to spur on more of this. That's what I'm hoping for, and if that's the way we have to get it done, then that's the way we have to get it done, isn't it?
Yeah, and just not to switch topics too much, but the communist infiltration into the Democrat Party is largely responsible for keeping our borders wide open and ushering in. I think Cuba's involved in it too, bringing these caravans to America. They're trying to flip our country red, not red in a conservative way, but red in a communist way, and it's really sad, and that's what Obama was up to the whole time. So yeah, it does take every American citizen has to now, get involved to save our country, because Trump is only one man. Yeah, he has a lot of power, but he has a lot of enemies in Washington, and he's really exerting a how do you say it? Herculean effort to save our country, to turn our country around, and he's doing a great job economically. But this border crisis is very, very important to get under control. Even
Hercules needed help. I mean,
yeah.
Even Kevin Sorbo needed help. But the thing is, it gives me confidence because it shows me that Americans want to get this thing done. $8 million is nothing to scoff at. If we could get groups to come together, multiple groups to come together, how far along is the southern border? How far along is that again, guys?
I don't know.
Many thousands
it's at least 1,000 miles.
The southern border.
Border, way more than that.
Yeah.
It's I want to say it was 2,000 miles, somewhere close to that number.
I know the country is 3,000 miles across from New York to California, so it's kind of like jig-jaggedy. So if you straighten it out, it could be like 2.5 million. 2,500 miles, about.
That's it.
I'm guessing.
You'd have to look at it, but I mean. But it's not that far, believe it or not. It really isn't. And the thing that here's the deal for me, man. Is like, if you lived in a rough area, you know what I mean, and you got a family, are you gonna bitch and complain about the cost of a couple of deadbolts and some locks to protect your family? You know what I mean? Why are we as Americans crying and complaining about what it's going to cost to put up infrastructure that is going to be there for the next 25, 30 years before it needs to be repaired again?
And we spend billions and billions of dollars each year on illegal immigrants.
Yeah.
Exactly.
A bunch of feckless gnats that come into this country and sponge off the American people. And I don't give a shit if you like it or not. You can turn the dial if you don't.
Forget about just that. Think about what it costs us to process them and give them their day in court. What are the court costs? The cost to pay that judge, the border security that have to detain them, the facilities, the food that we have to feed them to keep them alive, and the blankets and the clothes. I mean, the list goes on and on and on.
You guys were incredibly accurate. It's actually 1,954 miles. I thought it was about 2,000. I thought it was more than that, but you guys kind of hit the nail on that. So that shows you that what Steve Bannon's group it can be done. We could do this thing.
Another point they were trying to make, which I thought was pretty good, the double amputee veteran who owned the land and the Steve Bannon group were trying to make the point that they, Homeland Security or DHS or whatever you want to call them, said that they could not build a wall in that area because it was too mountainous, and they went ahead and did it anyway. And that happens to be a very porous area where a lot of drugs and criminality come pouring through. So they made that point.
What a stupid statement to make. We blow up mountains and carve roads into them. We have a mountain. We have a road that goes up Pikes Peak and over the mountain. I mean, give me a break. It's so stupid.
I would tell them, go look at the Great Wall of China sometime.
Yeah.
It's
but you understand, like, you guys have driven upstate New York and you're on the thruway and you're going past, sheer rock faces because they drilled and blasted the mountain out to make a road. You're telling me we couldn't level some ground to make a border fence? It's so stupid. They're so ridiculous.
And they are stupid, and it's mind-numbing to hear their rationale. If we can do this on our own, I'm happy with it just as much as if we could do this through Congress. So I don't care how it gets done. I just want it fucking built. I want the wall. So let's help the president do it. And if anybody finds out any groups that are doing something like Steve Bannon's group, contribute. Do what you can. Don't sit there on your hands. It's another thing about people. Oh, well, I don't have a lot. Well, you know what? Scrape by. Sacrifice your Starbucks coffee every day or whatever it is that you enjoy and give some money towards this wall. We can do it if we try. All right. Anyway, everybody listen to us on Sundays 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time on 94.9 News Now and Stimulating Talk. That's 949newsnow.com. Or please just come to freedomondeck.com. You can click Listen Live right there. We've got a great show coming up for you this weekend. We have Matt Margolis. He's the author of The Worst President in History, The Legacy of Barack Hussein Obama. And he's also a contributor to PJ Media. He's going to be coming by with us just to talk about everything that's kind of going on with Bob Mueller. And he's got a good pro-Trump book coming out. It's called Trumping Obama. And it's basically about how Trump is wiping out Obama's legacy, which wasn't much of a legacy anyway. And then we have Xander Gibb from XRAD, a great guest that comes on with us at all times. And we hope to see you there. Please come by. Go to freedomondeck.com. Check out our Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. Sign up to our BitChute. Sign up to our YouTube. We appreciate you guys being here. Brian, I'll talk to you on Sunday.
Okay. Talk to you on Sunday.
CV, I'll see you on Sunday, brother.
Good night, John Boy.
God bless.
Friday night we'll be drinking Manischewitz, going out to terrorize Goyam. Stomping shaking, screwing chicks as long as we're home by Saturday morning. Dirty!